We'll call the meeting of the Select Board of October 9th, 2024 to order. Note this meeting is being televised, streamed, or recorded by Bourne TV. If anyone in the audience is recording or videotaping, they need to acknowledge such at this time. I don't see anyone. Use of flash photography during Select Board meetings is prohibited. Item 1, discuss, and consider applicant interviews for retail marijuana host community agreements. The 9:30 a.m. appointment is with Melo Greens Corporation, DBA Melo Greens, 694 MacArthur Boulevard, Bourne, adult use marijuana establishment. I see Mr. Stroni at the podium. I assume you are going to begin. You have about half an hour for your presentation, and which will be followed by questions from the board for between 15 to 30 minutes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. On behalf of Melo Greens, I'm Steve Stroni of Bourne. What I'm going to do is tell you initially about the ownership of the company, and I will have more to say about ownership later on in the presentation. We feel it's an important component to what we're trying to do here, so that deserves a little bit more time and explanation. But there are basically 4 owners of the property. Jenish Patel, who is a minority and will have a 51% ownership interest in the property. My wife, Anna Stroni, a local resident for 15 years, special ed teacher, intensive special needs. She's in the Taunton School District. My daughter, Emily, she's in her senior year at UMass. She's going to be going into nursing when she graduates. And my son, Mitchell. Well, I think most of you, or some of you at least, know that my son has a disability. But what he also has is a great drive and a great work ethic. He has his information technology degree from 4 Cs, and he paid for that while working at Stop and Shop, paid for that himself. He now works at Stop and Shop in Mashpee. He works 6 days a week, 48 hours a week. And if they call him in occasionally, which they do, he always goes in. He never calls in sick, stays late, and they treat him like he's family, and we're very proud of that. What I want to talk about is Jenish. I've known Jenish for more than 15 years now. I went to his wedding 15 years ago, my first Indian wedding. Quite an experience, I'll tell you that. But in any case, I met Jenish about 15, 16 years ago when him and some of his friends in their early 20s pooled a lot of their money together. These guys, quite honestly, from the time they're about 13 years old, they're working 40, 50 hours a week, and they have a very good work ethic and typically a great business sense and whatnot. So I met Jenish, and he came to me with a group. They wanted to buy a Subway restaurant. So actually, you go to Subway school, it's kind of interesting. You get a certificate, you buy a Subway franchise. Shortly after that, they bought a liquor store. And again, that was kind of a learning experience for them. They've been in that industry now for a good 15, 16 years. Then they came and they bought a cigar store after that. So basically what I've seen over the last 15, 16 years with Jenish and his group that he works with typically is somebody that has tremendous business sense. He's very well educated, but that doesn't always translate into being a great businessman, but he's a great businessman. His portfolio of businesses is very diverse, and he's very successful. I think the thing he takes greatest pride in is his family. He's been married about 15 years. He has a son, Shrey, and a daughter, Myra. Great family. I think probably the thing about him that I admire most is how charitable he is. Not just with his money. It's easy. I think sometimes it's easy to be charitable with money, but also with his time. He's a leader in his church. Every community he goes into, he does. The community is better off for having him in there. I don't ever remember a time where somebody came to him and said, could you support us in this way? And if it's a worthy cause, I've never known him to say no. So Jenish is not just a business associate, but he's a dear friend of mine, and I don't bring him into my community, the town of Bourne, lightly. I think he's the best in the industry, the best in the business, and I think that's what Bourne deserves to have. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jenish, but I'll be back at some point.
Thank you, Steve, for that introduction. I couldn't have said it better. I want to take a moment to express my gratitude for your friendship and support over the years. I can't believe it's been 15 years since we started working together. I was freshly out of college when we started. As Steve mentioned, I've worked hard, but I've also maintained a strong commitment to community service. For the past 4 to 5 years, I've dedicated half of my professional time for for-profit initiatives and the other half for nonprofit efforts. It's been a fulfilling journey, and I could go on for hours, but we'll keep it brief. My name is Jenish Patel, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Melo Greens. I'm going to take some time to introduce our professional team, the advisory board. First, we have Ginjal Patel, who holds both a bachelor's and an MBA in accounting. She brings valuable experience as an owner-operator of Canopy, a licensed cannabis establishment in Brockton. Next, we have Chirag Patel, our business advisor and CEO of Botera, a leading force in the cannabis industry with 12 years of experience. Botera operates 3 dispensaries that are among the best in the state. Last, we have Jemin Patel, our financial advisor. He's a co-founder of Botera. He will help us structure our business and navigate the regulatory landscape. Melo Greens is here to obtain a retail marijuana license, and our proposed facility will span 6,475 square feet. This space will allow enough for efficient customer flow in the sales area, along with sufficient room for admin, operation, product storage. We plan significant renovations for both exterior and interior spaces. We're going to add a state-of-the-art security system like all the other applicants. We do have ample parking spaces. We have 43. By town bylaws, we require 25. The hours of operations are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Thursday, Friday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Now, with that, I'm going to turn it over to our civil engineer, Eric Diaz, who will say a little more.
Good morning. For the record, Eric Dias, registered professional engineer with Strong Point Engineering. The team asked me to talk just a little bit about location on this project. Let me start by saying I've done quite a few dispensaries in my career, and this location really is kind of the ideal situation for what ownership looks for, both from a location visibility standpoint and from a traffic standpoint. Obviously, this site is at 694 MacArthur. I think you're all probably very familiar with the building. At some point, I think it was a gun and ammo shop. I think it was most recently an auto garage of some sort. In fact, if you drive by, it's the white building with a decal of a car crashing through it right now. So it could certainly use a little bit of a facelift, a little blighted property, but it'll be cleaned up. Location-wise, it is on the south side of MacArthur, as you can see there, noticed by the red dot in the middle. We're about half a mile from the Otis Rotary, which is good because MacArthur has a pretty significant traffic volume day to day, but this side is the side that's generally much less congested as opposed to the bridge side. So we're going to get a good amount of traffic volume going by the site. What that means is a lot of visibility, means a lot of passerby stop-ins. So what we're projecting on a conservative side, an average weekday vehicle trips per day of about 1,400 trips, and on an average Saturday about 1,700. Now that is, vehicle trips per day are in and out, so you cut those in half basically for approximate customers. We're looking at conservatively about 700 to 850 per day, which is very good numbers, as I'm sure you're aware. But even seasonally, those numbers are going to grow. Good thing about the location that we're in is I mentioned the passerby stop-in. So that's important to note because that means that people who are driving by are going to see the place because of the visibility and swing in, as opposed to this being off the beaten path where it would be more of a destination. And the difference is passerbys don't increase traffic on the roadway to start with. So where we're going to have a significant portion of the customer base being people who are en route either home or somewhere else, it's not as if all 850 in a day, let's say, are going to be new traffic brought to that area. But when we take a look at the roadway, obviously that roadway can handle the additional traffic. It's got a very good level of service. The right in, right out of MacArthur, as you know, makes it ideal for all businesses. And we're about 400 feet from the northbound U-turn and about 1,500 feet from the southbound U-turn. So we're sandwiched by the U-turns. Customers are going to be able to get in, get out, no problem, be on their way. The roadway is flat, it's straight in this location. We got great sight distances, which is great for safety. And then if we just talk about parking for just a quick second, this is a site plan. The left half of the screen that you see is currently unbuilt, completely vacant. So we have the ability to expand the existing parking area there. That's going to give us about 43 parking spaces, give or take, where your zoning bylaw requires 25 for this use. And the general ITE data has this use with this type of demand around 30 parking spaces. So the point being, we have about 13 additional, and we have a big building. So that's going to leave plenty of room on site built in for future expansion, heavy days with events, things like that. So we really do believe this is a very good location that lends itself to this use very well. So that's all I have on that, but I'm glad to answer any questions later. I'm going to kick it back to Josh.
Thank you, Eric. So current conditions of the location. As you can see, the location was previously used as a mechanic shop and has unfortunately become an eyesore for the community, situated on a highly traveled road. Our purpose is to retain the existing building while giving it a much-needed facelift on the exterior and completely redesigning the interior. We understand that other boards may want input on the final exterior design, and we welcome the collaboration. For the interior, we're aiming for a warm wood look with soft undertones, clean design with minimal clutter. Before I joined the project with Steve, I'm involved with a dispensary in New Jersey, which has been operating for 4 months now. I'm proud of what we accomplished there. I had a great manager in Massachusetts at another business. He expressed he wanted to have an equity opportunity, and so we set it up. So he is running the New Jersey location, and he is an equity partner now. I believe in sharing wealth amongst my employees and helping them better their lives by providing profit sharing and a chance to be owners in our company. And I've done that in many other businesses as well. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Chirag Patel, co-founder and CEO of Bourne.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Just would like to reintroduce myself. My name is Chirag Patel. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Bourne. We have 3 operational dispensaries here in Massachusetts, mainly on the South Shores of Mass. I'll be serving as Jenish's operational advisor for Melo Greens. I've actually known Jenish beyond just business ventures. We've been family friends for about 10 years and more now. And he knows all about our operations over at Bourne over the past 4 years. So I know that the board has seen other applicants before you, and we'll see some more later today. So I don't want to go over too many details of just operations. I'll kind of highlight things because a lot of the things that you'll see before you are sort of requirements by the CCC, and they monitor a lot of our sort of SOPs. So I'll just kind of keep a high level just to kind of make it easier for everybody to understand. I can easily answer any additional questions at the end. So the retail store will be offering a variety of products, and according to recent trends at our locations, we've kind of came up with a SKU of offerings on which we're going to have a breakdown of category. So those categories are going to be 40% of our category is going to be flour, which is denominations of the 8s and 7 grams, 14 grams and ounces. 20% being pre-rolls. We usually sell those in singles, 3-packs, and 5-packs. And then we have 15% being oil vaporizers, those cartridges that you kind of see, disposables. 15% would be edibles, your gummies, chocolates, infused drinks and such. 5% concentrates, and then the remaining 5% being tinctures, lotions, and miscellaneous items. Now, it's good to know all these products will be tested by independent testing facilities. This is a requirement by the CCC. So in actuality, before it even arrives at our facility, there's something called the COA, which is a certificate of analysis. That's essentially a proof that all the products have been tested by this facility. So we are actually not even allowed to take product inside of the store unless the vendor provides us a COA. And the cool thing is that the COA is actually on hand at our facility at all times. So if a consumer wants access to it, they're more than welcome to request it, and we will give them a copy of that. All products inside the store are prepackaged and sold in child tamper resistant packaging. So this is good to know that there will be no on-site packaging or repackaging of any sort. Everything is prepackaged before it's brought on site. All products that are on display in the sales floor will have no products contained in them, so there will only be empty packaging. So, you know, as the visuals you saw earlier from Jenish, in those display pieces, it's only just fluff. They're going to be probably, you know, like fake grass or something in there to give it a little air, but it's all fake packaging. And then lastly, I do want to mention that all consumers will be restricted to a daily consumption limit, and that per state is 1 ounce of flour or 5 grams of concentrate, and you can blend those in between the two of each other. So I kind of want to go over the timeline. The projects in the cannabis space are very time consuming and tough to navigate. But with our expertise in doing 3 locations, we're going to put Jenish on the fast track and ensure that, you know, we're going to go a little heavy onto this and make sure that he can open at least within the year. And so what the timeline we have is that the LOI is secured back in February of 2024. And should the board grant Melo Greens license, we hope to have the HCA secured by the end of this month in October. And with that, following month in November, we will submit our license to the CCC. And in hopes of that license being submitted, we will start construction hopefully in January of 2025. And the construction period will take anywhere from 4 to 6 months, you know, and it will require some inspections. So we're hoping that those local inspection permits could be accomplished and have a CO by the end of April. And the CCC will come in for their inspections the following few months after that in the end of June in 2025. And with their commence ops, we're hoping to be open in September of next year. So with that, we can dive into the financials. The project will be a full gut and renovate. So it will require a total cost of $800,000 that we anticipate, and this will include everything from the interior fit out to lifting the exterior, security equipment, and also furnishing the store. And we anticipate an additional $200,000 for start of inventory for a lot of our goods that we need to start the business with. With all that being poured into the project, we hope to reach certain projections. And those projections in 2025 are going to be, because it's going to be a partial year, we anticipate $3.38 million in sales, which a portion of that will be forwarded to Bourne as taxation. And we anticipate that to be $100,000 towards Bourne. In 2026, we anticipate the sales to be $9.6 million, which 300 of that will be going towards Bourne. And in 2027, $11 million in sales and $350,000 of that being forwarded to Bourne. The retail stores will be equipped with an overload of security, probably even more than a bank, honestly. There will be an ID checking system at 2 stations, both the front of house and also at the cashier checkout section. All doors and access points in the store will have RFID chips, which means that you either need a badge or some sort of a code to enter to be able to enter and exit those doors. The entire store will be littered with cameras, interior and exterior, and there will be a 24/7 surveillance team independent of us that will be monitoring these. The NVR storage system will actually store up to 100 days of footage. We actually like to bump that up to 120 days because the CCC requires 90, so it gives us a good buffer. And we'll work closely with the police department to ensure that if they require any access for these cameras and such, we will gladly provide them. It's good to know that when we have a secured facility like this in the neighborhood, it not only just provides and promotes safety just on premise, but also around the premise as well. So, neighbors and everybody can feel a lot more comfortable knowing that there's cameras and visuals within their vicinity. All deliveries at the facility in and off hours will be escorted by at least 3 agents. One of these agents will be from the wholesale vendor side and 2 of our own. All cash pickups will be via armored vehicles, similarly to the trucks that you see at the banks, by the Brinks vehicles. Whether the store is open or closed, I wanted to emphasize that all products will be remaining inside of a vault and a fulfillment area, and we'll see what that is on the next floor plan. So this is a preliminary floor plan of what we have for the establishment. We're trying to utilize the entirety of the building. The layout that you see, there's 3 means of egress. We have one that's going to be a dedicated delivery entrance, and which will also serve as a fire exit. We have one for a customer entrance area and another for a customer exit only area. I want to go over the flow of operations to better understand the dynamic of the floor plan. The customers will enter through the front door, will be greeted by a security agent, which will check their ID, escort them in. The customers will then be able to shop on the floor, place their order on a kiosk or with a bud tender that will be on the floor. That order will then go out in the back, kind of like a kitchen, where the food order goes out in the back and is prepared by another agent in the fulfillment room. And the fulfillment room will then pass that order out to the front to the cashier to be verified that the order that's placed is in fact the right order, and then the ID will be checked a second time to ensure that the person is in fact the one ordering. And then once they purchase their product, they'll then exit through the dedicated security exit vestibule. The back of house is standard. You have the manager's area, you have the mechanical rooms, staff, and then 2 bathrooms. The one thing I want to highlight is the fulfillment area and the vault. These are going to be steel reinforced mesh walls and also reinforced sheetrock just to ensure that there's added layer of security. And this moves on to our sort of training of employees. We're going to have our general managers being trained for 2 weeks, potentially at Boterra, because we have operational dispensaries, so they'll have on-hand experience. The leads will have a 7-day training program, which are usually promoted from staff. Employees will have 5 days. These employees are consistent of cashiers, bud tenders, inventory, and security. All staff will go through a basic core curriculum program, which is involvement in cannabis education, the state laws and regulation, which are the 935 CMR, prevention of diversion to sales of minors, just to ensure that they understand that checking IDs are important, and just the ins and outs of using these devices that we have inside the store to ensure that they're working properly. In addition to that, the handbook and SOBs will be provided to all employees. These handbook, we like to call them Bible, consists of benefits, PTOs, guidelines per role, health and safety. It pretty much has the soups and nuts that you need to be able to understand the guidelines. And we also like to mention that we like to have our staff be ServSafe certified. It's not really a requirement, but it's just another added layer to make sure that they know how to handle food grade product. And the last thing to touch on is the employment goals. We plan to hire 20 to 30 employees, 50% or greater being women. To support the local community, 50% or greater being Bourne residents, 35% are being people of color, veterans, or LGBTQ. I do want to mention that we'll be starting at a wage of $20 an hour, which is easily the highest in any retail space that we can think of. There will be benefits for all staff. They'll have access to health and dental insurance, savings for retirement through 401k, and also the advancement opportunities to management roles, because we like to see talent within. And speaking of benefits, I'd like to pass it over to Steve for community engagement.
Thank you. Actually, all right, folks. So to sort of bring it home, So we have 2 things we're doing that we think set us apart. When we decided to do this in the town of Bourne, we looked at 2 things. We looked at creating a company that was employee-centric and Bourne-centric. So we all say that we want local ownership, right? And everybody has said, everybody that you're going to hear from today has a component of local ownership, right? Our local ownership goes way above and beyond, I think, what anybody else is going to do. And that, actually, right now, I'm going to talk about the employee stock option plan. So what we're going to do is we're going to give up to 66% of ownership of our company through an employee stock ownership plan. Essentially, it's this. If you come to work for us, not only will you get great pay, great benefits, flexible scheduling, but you will have an opportunity to own a portion of the company. In other words, folks, what I'm saying is anybody in Bourne who wants to come work for this company can be an owner of this company, can share in the success of it. The reason we do that is because it allows us to retain good employees, recruit good employees, and they stay with us because they have a stake in it. The other thing we're offering is a housing assistance program. Now, everybody who you've heard from, everybody who you will hear from, is going to tell you they want to hire local residents. And that sounds great, right? But if that's the end of your plan, it's really not a plan. People in this community, and I know this from all my work here, particularly on the planning board, and I served with Gene on that, is that a young adult who wants to come here in Bourne and live here and work here because they love this community, it's expensive, there's a lack of housing, it's very difficult. So what we're going to offer our employees is not only a rent subsidy, so we can get them into a 1 or 2 bedroom unit, but we will also offer them relocation assistance. Somebody comes to us and says, hey, we got a place we're going to rent, we need first, last, and security, we'll work with them. The other thing is, and what other company in Bourne is offering this? Down payment assistance for home ownership. So you come, you work for our company, and you're a great employee, and you want to live and put down roots in this community. You want to own a house. I did the research. Last month, the median house in Bourne cost $640,000. That's crazy, folks. How are we going to get people to be teachers and firefighters and cops and live and work in this community? Well, I'll tell you what, we think we have the business model that's not just the gold standard for the cannabis industry, but we think we have a business model that is the gold standard for any business that wants to come to Bourne. If you're going to bring a business to Bourne, one of my favorite pizza shops right up the road, I think you guys know about it, he went out of business. He's focusing now on his catering. I saw him at Market Basket. I said, oh, what happened? You focusing on your catering? He said, Steve, I can't get people to work for me. He said, and then when I get people to work for me, they work for a little while, and then they leave. He says, it doesn't matter what I offer them. So with that in mind, we're creating this business model that is aligned with what's in the best interest of the Bourne, in the town of Bourne, and that's to give our residents a meaningful opportunity to live and work in this community. And with the ESOP program, that is really a tool to build meaningful wealth. We're giving these people a great job, great benefits, a stake in the company. I mean, what could be better than that? So we're not, everybody has some local ownership, and that might be one family, a couple of people, or whatever. Everybody in the town of Bourne who wants to be an owner of this company, come apply for a job. If we hire you and you're a good employee and you really dive into this, we're going to give you a tremendous opportunity. A few other things I want to talk about.
You got like 3 or 4 or 5 minutes.
Well, a minute and 2 minutes and 20 seconds. I'm going. But in any case, so our location, all right? As you know, I worked very closely with the planning board. I think Gene was on the planning board at the time, with the MOD. And essentially, what we did, again, with our business model, is one of the key things with a business model is you got to pick a good location. If you pick a terrible location, you can have the best business plan in the world. It's just not going to work for you. So we looked at Sagamore over by the McDonald's and, the old Friendlies, that area. Great location, but not perfect, but a great location. There's no question about that. We looked at the Belmont Circle area. We could not come up with a business plan that worked in that area because we couldn't, the traffic wasn't right, there wasn't a building that was appropriate, or it just didn't work for us. I'm not saying it wouldn't work for somebody else, but we couldn't figure it out. And these people are pretty smart people. It became a no-brainer when we looked at the traffic for MacArthur Boulevard. I mean, it's tremendous traffic. It's the economic corridor for all of Bourne. Where our location is, we get everybody coming out of Waterhouse, Harbor Hill, Clay Pond, Barlow's Landing, Otis Park Drive, Jonathan Bourne. As Eric indicated, the turnarounds are perfect for us. I mean, what we did is we kind of reversed engineered this project. We said, how can we bring a tremendous business to Bourne so that everybody wins? And I got to tell you, I think we hit it out of the park on this. So in conclusion, folks, I think you'll receive all the proposals are going to be good, and some of them very good, but I think ours is exceptional. I think ours really addresses what the individual needs of this town are. We built our business model with the town of Bourne as the focal point. Every facet of our plan is designed to make us profitable and successful. So, folks, I'm going to ask you, with a great deal of respect, that when you do score us, you take all these factors into account, and we would respectfully request a perfect score, because we have worked so hard on this, and we think we're bringing you an exceptional business, not just a cannabis business, but a business that will be in Bourne for decades. And for me, quite honestly, it would be a legacy for me and my family. And that's my personal goal here, is to bring this business. So I'm at 30 minutes and 15 seconds, so I'll stop there. I don't want to go over. But I'd love to field some questions if you have any, because I have still a lot of things I want to cover. But
We've been asking a lot of questions, so there's a lot of opportunity in the questions.
excellent.
Who wants to say what's up? Melissa, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have another question. See, I've been sort of, as I said, the presentations have been just really amazing with, in relation to the security. And so there's no doubt that each of these presentations, everyone has taken extreme care in making sure that it's safe and the line of sight is right and that we don't have the youth. So I was thinking about, as I had said yesterday, you probably weren't all here, or if you were, my apologies if I don't remember you being in the room, but I had said yesterday that I had gone into, if I saw a cannabis store, I would stop and go in, because I just really wanted to experience the different stores and, how their process works. So a lot of them are very, very much the same. And I noticed, like I said yesterday, some of them have an entrance, and the exit is another door. So I noticed that in your proposal, and there was another one I think yesterday as well, they had talked about when they, we have the process, they come into the main entrance, you check their identification, and then I'm not sure if you had said it or not, but I know that there was another proposed where they would have to wear like an ID badge before they could get in onto the floor. So I wondered, I hadn't seen that done anywhere, and I know somebody else had talked about it. I just wondered if there was any sort of concerns, especially in the beginning when you're just opening, having to stop people. Will it cause a backup of, clients, customers? Do you anticipate having that sort of, is that next stop
30 parking
net
spaces
regular?
filled with 30
Right.
people coming at once.
Right, and then you're like stopping at the door, they're giving you the ID, and then they have to put a badge on before they can get in. So that was just sort of my thoughts, right? Is that necessary with all the other security, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great question. So as for the badges, the only personnel or the only people required in the building to actually have carry badges themselves are 1 and 2. It's either whether you work for us, which you have an age of registration card, or if you actually sign in as a visitor. So outside of that, it's just a normal process. Once you check in, you actually show your ID, and once you're verified, you just walk right through, and you're placed in our system as a queue. So you don't really need to kind of carry anything with you. But the way it works is that once you enter into past the vestibule, you actually have the option to be able to browse around or go right to the counter and pick up your online order. And the cool fact and sort of the concerns that you kind of hear a lot is like, oh, we have 30 spaces. What if they fill up fast and such? So the trend nowadays is that because there's a lot of these in the state and people are so familiar with these products and they've been to other dispensaries, 60 to 70% of the orders that come through are actually online orders. So people are just actually picking them up and leaving. So it's less than a 35-minute ticket window. The other folks that stick around and actually want to shop and browse, the other remaining 20 to 30%. That's why we actually do a little things differently at our store versus others, where we actually have a fulfillment model. And what that means is that you're not technically waiting in line and waiting to approach a cashier to then pick your products out. You can do that with the bud tender on the floor, kind of like if you were at an Apple store. And that gives them the ability to take their time without holding up that queue in line for the cashier to kind of check people out. And with that, I'll kind of reinstate it a little bit just so you guys understand, is that the fulfillment area in the back is separate from the vault. And what that means, it's almost like a CVS pharmacy, where a lot of our products are kind of categorized. And so when people are placing orders online or on the floor, there's two individuals in the back packaging these orders and putting them appropriate with the name. So when that person comes to the counter, their product's ready and be checking out. So there's not a lot of waste of time for people scavenging or trying to look for product or trying to fetch your products, for instance. But so I kind of hope that answers a lot of the question. I add a little more just for better understanding there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I get it now. So your visitors, if somebody was coming in, or a new distributor or someone like that, they would need the badge. It's not for each and every person needs a badge to get onto the floor. So that was what I was curious, because somebody had said it yesterday, and I
No,
was
they
like,
were to get to the back, not on the
Yeah.
floor. It was to get into the back
So,
area,
yeah,
not to get
yeah.
on the floor area.
Yeah, no, I thought they had said something about badge at the door,
No.
like this, then a badge. So I just thank you for that. That cleared that up for me. Thank you. Yeah.
Anne Marie, do you have a question?
A couple of questions on the just looking at the floor plan. And I haven't asked this question, so it's out of curiosity. What types of things are kept into storage as opposed to the secured inventory area?
Yep. So the
And are they
only thing.
equally and are they equally secured, even though it's maybe, I don't know, general storage? I don't know
Sure.
what that means.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. Is that so? We have those 3 rooms in the back that you'll see, and so one of them is more of a general storage area where we keep a lot of our packaging goods. That's where the deliveries will be intaked and stuff. And then you have those other 2 rooms, which is the actual secured vaults, and the only things that are in those rooms is only product, the cannabis product. So you will not have any accessories or any of that product, any of that sort. It's primarily just cannabis product in the vaults and in the fulfillment area. This general storage, yes, you may have, our paper goods supply, or bags, other things we may need to operate the establishment.
And you mentioned, so not everyone comes in and works with a bud tender. I see you have some like self-serve kiosks as well.
Correct. Yep. Exactly. So, we've entered sort of a new age for retail. Everybody kind of likes to shop themselves, and so we promote that with the kiosk, where there's a little informational guide on there for them to select their products, or like I said, they can place them online. And we've noticed that trend-wise, there's 60 to 70% of consumers like to follow that path, and the remaining can get a consultation with the bud tender if they need to.
And they don't have to set up, they can be walk-ins, they don't have to set up a certain.
Nope, exactly. Yep. So they can come right in, place it at the kiosk, and walk right up to the counter to make their purchase.
And, sorry,
You can ask another one.
I can ask another one.
Yeah, go
Um,
ahead. You're on a roll.
Okay. And as far as operations go, who exactly is going to be part of the day-to-day operations?
Yes. So Jenish is actually going to be part of the day-to-day. We'll just be providing expertise and helping set up the store. If he may have any questions and such, I mean, he's done plenty of these retails. So it's primarily going to be him and his team, pretty much.
And to add to that, Anne Marie, essentially one of my roles, one of my various roles in this endeavor is essentially community liaison between the company and the community. So I think all of you have my cell phone number. I always answer my phone. I'm available 24/7. So if you have a concern or a question, you can get a hold of me, and I can get you the answer. I can get you anything you need. So we have a strong local presence, and we'll be connected in the community. As we roll on further, we'll get into charitable endeavors and local partnerships and all that stuff, but that's a little bit further down the road. But we'll be connected to the community very closely.
Jean?
I had a list of questions, really excellent presentation, so I think you hit all the questions that I asked yesterday, thorough on the training. Really impressed with the housing plan and the trying to retain the employees and attract local employees as well, going above and beyond. Janesh being on site for a day-to-day. Ownership, the breakdown.
Okay, so initially, the ownership is essentially 51% Jenish. Then essentially my family, 49%. But under the ESOP program, what we have to make available is 67%. And the way, and that's all, it's very highly regulated, these ESOP plans. Like, it can't be top-heavy. So in other words, it can't be like all the managers and the high-end people. It's available to everybody, to the bud tender, to the manager, to the guy who sweeps the floors at the end of the night. I mean, it is available to every, I mean, the ESOP in the housing program, and it's interesting you hit on both these. I mean, that's what has really got me excited, because, you know, assume you're a 24-year-old kid here living in town, and mom and dad are gonna sell the house and move away, but you wanna stay here. This is a great community. My daughter asked me recently, Dad, how am I ever gonna afford a house in Bourne? I says, well, mom and dad are gonna have to help you, but that's not an option for everybody. So now that person, that 24-year-old guy or gal, can come work for us, get a great job. We can help them with rent subsidy. The other thing I meant to touch on is I've talked to local developers. One of them you know very well, particularly Eugene, a local developer. And we're trying to get a letter of intent now so we can get up to 10 to 12 one- and two-bedroom apartments, so that our managers, these people, we can start them, in many cases, in some cases, on the road to home ownership by subsidizing their apartment. And like I said, we've already begun negotiations with developers, but because we're so early in the process, you know, that's still a work in progress. But one of the developers I'm thinking of right now, all of you know him very, very well.
And I guess my last question too, or comment, was the ability to have the Bourne Police Department access the cameras and
Yeah,
also
well,
access
so
intersection, you know, the highway.
It's the same thing everybody else told you. The cameras are great. They're at least 90 days. Jenish, in all his businesses, all his convenience stores, his liquor stores, his cigar stores, he has cameras everywhere, and he proactively gives access to those cameras to the police department. In West Bridgewater, if the police want to look at what's going on in his convenience store right now, they can just log in and look at it. And it's just a good business practice.
That wraps up my questions for now. Thank you.
Everybody's asked more or less the questions. I mean, so why be redundant? But let's go back to the revenue, projected revenue slide. That's in a perfect world. You know, the local tax, you know, to the town, 288,000, and then 346 projected for, for 27. So, I mean, I would love to see you hit those numbers.
Peter, we're going to blow those numbers out of the water. If you look at the traffic count and the average ticket, I mean, the average ticket in a town like Brockton or Taunton is like $45, $48. Yesterday, somebody had a slick that had like 64 or 72 for the average ticket. Think about this. You know what Bourne is all about. It's a bottleneck. Everybody has to come here to drive to where they want to go. We have 5 million visitors to the Cape on an annual basis. Millions of those people go up and down MacArthur Boulevard, right? They're going to stop in. If you can imagine people going to Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket or Outer Cape or Lower Cape or, all these different places, if they're on vacation for a week or two and there's a few adults in that car, how much are they going to buy? They're not just going to buy $40 worth or $80 worth. We think our tickets, particularly in the summertime, are going to exceed $100. Now, we don't know that for a fact, but based on what we're seeing, we used very conservative numbers, and we have the ability to scale if we have to. We have a huge building, 6,200 square feet. So I hope I answered your question there. Yeah. But yesterday, MJ asked about medical marijuana. I'll tell you this. The state is eventually going to tell recreational dispensaries, go ahead and sell it. Just don't charge a 20% tax. And that would be a good thing. We have the ability with our parking, with our square footage, to pivot like that. We can quickly do that. Because, again, we're looking at this business as something that's going to be in business for decades. So we don't want to have to, expand the business or buy more property surrounding us or, heaven forbid, move it. I mean, we have, an idea of where we want to go. In the medical marijuana, hopefully at some point in the future we'll be part of that. Melissa asked about pricing yesterday. Well, I'll tell you this, when it comes to pricing, we have the ability to buy in bulk. And when you buy in bulk, just like anything else, you get a better deal on it. You can pass those savings on to your customer and still maintain your margins, because we got to keep the margins up, right? Because the town wants their revenue, and we have to be profitable and successful. So we can do it. In some cases, again, to your point yesterday, or your questions yesterday, MJ, the price that we can get recreational marijuana for isn't all that different than what you could buy the medical for. So, we're very mindful of the medical component of it. It's a broken system right now, but it'll get fixed, and we'll be prepared for it.
Now you have stores out of state, down in New Jersey, you have stores here, like one in Brockton as an example. Some companies that have gotten too big, they end up closing up shop after a while because they get too big. What kind of financial security do you have to make sure that we don't close this store? Because this is our premier location on the boulevard, so you have a good chance to have the perfect storm over there.
This will be a top 10 store in the state, at least in the summertime. The numbers are going to be staggering. They just are because of the traffic. And as Eric correctly pointed out, it isn't going to add traffic because most of our buyers are going to be people who are driving by anyways. And Anne Marie made me very happy yesterday when she brought up the LCP. The LCP, one of the economic tenets in that, and I know that because I helped write it, is bring in money and business from surrounding communities. All these people coming from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Boston, New Hampshire, coming to enjoy our Cape and driving through our town and beating up our roads, let them stop, let them spend money, and let us bring that in as revenue. And again, every time I think about this, my mind goes back to the people who can have an equitable stake in the company. I mean, you work in the company, you can tell people, hey, go to the store, come see me at the store. Because they know when the store makes money, they make money. My daughter is part of an ESOP for Starbucks, so she is the fastest girl at the Starbucks up the road. I know she's seen you there before, Emery. Fastest girl there, 47 seconds from time of taking order to delivering the product, right? But in order for her to stay in the ESOP program up at UMass Amherst, she has to work a few shifts, at least a few shifts a month. So it's good for her. She works a shift or two every other week. She gets some spending money, and she stays in the ESOP program. So it's kind of, she's a great employee. Starbucks admires her, loves her, they value her. And that ESOP is keeping her there, and other reasons too.
And finally, explain your housing assistance program. I mean, because as you know, kids, we both have kids in college who, without our family long-term investment, we're able to help our families. Not everybody's going to be in that position. So how are you going to be? I saw the numbers: 25,000 for a buy-down program, assistance program. You got 500 a month for a rental program. But I mean, I'm sure they're going to hit certain milestones before they get some of these options as well. It's not like
well, of course they do. You're not going to walk in the door and here's 25,000, go buy a house. But this really hit home with me, Peter. And our daughter's a similar ages. When my daughter says, "How am I going to afford a house in Bourne?" and I'm sitting there going, "Jesus, I love this community. I'm relatively new. I've only been here 15 years, but I love this place, and that's why I don't know if I'm coming across as kind of over the top here, but I'm so excited about this project and what it's going to do for the community and what it's going to do for people like my family. And we all have family here, right? And we all admire the town. You guys, the reason you're select board members is because you care about this community, right? Believe me, not a lot of glory sitting over there. I did it. I sat in MJ's chair for 6 years, on the planning board, that is. That's why we're really excited about this project. We can't wait to bring it to Bourne, and it feels like it's almost here. So it's exciting to us.
Well, thank you for coming and applying in Bourne, and we'll see where the chips fall.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay, so my turn. So I am finding, I want to say, kind of a lack of documentation of the ownership. So from what I can tell, Jack is the owner of the Riva Realty, who owns the building, but he's not a part of Melo Greens. So Janice is the only one listed on any of the documentation of the state with all of the
Corporate,
corporate
yeah, the articles of organization.
board of directors, so he's the only one listed. And although there is stuff that says that certain members of the Stroni family are owners, there's no documentation of this.
Okay, so.
And there's no, I think, like, the concept of the ESOP plan is a great concept, but clearly, you haven't fleshed it out yet. I mean, and so it may happen, it may not happen, it may happen in the way you say, it may happen in a different way, but you haven't figured out that documentation. But I'm really concerned about the ownership documentation.
Okay, so I can speak to that, of course. So right now, as we speak, my accountant is drafting up the paperwork. So that is underway. Basically, the way it's worked, as you know, I've had a relationship with the Patel Group for over 15 years. Typically, and I'll take Taunton as an example, they came to me 5 years ago and they said, Steve, we want you to help us get a store in Taunton. And we're going to pay you to consult for us, to advise us, to represent us through the boards, to navigate the political process. And in return for that, we will pay you X amount of dollars for all your work. And part of that, in that X amount of dollars, was different depending on how successful I was, okay? When they came to Bourne, it started out the same way. You don't pay me for my time. I said to them, if you're going to do it in Bourne, it's my hometown. I see all these people every day. We got to do it right. But initially, it was they were going to pay me for my time and for all the work I've put into this. And I think you folks know I've put in thousands and thousands of hours to get here today. So when it came time to figure out, payment and whatnot, I said, listen, I want to be part of this. I want to be part of what you're doing. I don't want to just get a check and go away. I want to be part of it, and I want to leave this legacy for my family. And Jenish and I, like I said, we're best friends. He said, you know what, Steve, then that's what we'll do. We'll figure it out with the accountants. I only have a handshake deal with him right now, but I trust him. He trusts me. And the ownership we've put forth, we will, MJ, supplement that to the board. If you want to hold up the HCA on that, we'll supplement it prior to the issuance of the HCA. No problem. We want to be above board. And as far as the ESOP, yeah, on theory, it sounds great. We all agree on that. They're doing that at Boterra. There is precedent for that. Now, we're different than Boterra, but these guys are doing that because Jenish understands you have to be, in this environment, in this work environment, you have to be work-centric. If you don't give people a reason to work for you, they're going to work for you as long as it's convenient for them, but as soon as they see a better opportunity, they're gone. And like I said, if your plan is to hire local people, and that's the end of your plan, it's not going to work. You've got to entice people, and you've got to give them what they need. And a happy worker is a better worker.
Melissa?
I think it's a really great vision to have this ESOP plan and all of these benefits for your employees. I think that's wonderful. But I think, realistically, do you see, and we're talking about pricing, right? I know our generosity can often affect your bottom line, right, at the end. And do you anticipate, with all of these benefits you're offering, it to have any effect on your pricing for the consumers?
No, not for the pricing for the consumer. As I said to you, our business model of being able to buy in bulk and keep our margins successful, because imagine if you have stock in a company that's not making money, what good is that stock, right? So that's why you team up. These guys are exceptional at what they do, businessmen. Jenish has never had a business do anything other than succeed spectacularly. So this is no different. And the beauty of this is Bourne is so uniquely situated with the traffic. Peter mentioned this with the traffic, and it's like an hourglass. And so many people go right by MacArthur Boulevard. I mean, we'd have to be the Three Stooges to fail here. It's not even an option.
So I know the economics of the cannabis space is kind of challenging when it comes to financials and such, and majority of those kind of blockades are at the federal level. I don't know if the board is kind of aware there's such thing as 280 restrictions, which we can't take normal deductions, but as recent trends, and we feel that, close, like, the elections are around the corner. I don't think there's going to be anything kind of coming from the federal anytime soon regarding that. But I think next year, those restrictions may kind of ease up, and, it'll give the ability to us be treated like a normal business. And so I think that'll incentivize us even more, because we get write-offs for any of these sort of facilities that we're going to be offering, or any of these offerings, including the ESOP programs and such. So, I think between the pricing that we offer, to the margins that we retain, and 280 sort of being lifted, I think that there's plenty of room to be able to push these programs through.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
MJ?
Yeah, I had another two.
We'll make another round. Anne Marie, do you have another question?
I do. So the competitive market, right?
I'm sorry?
It's a competitive market. So what will set you apart, other than location, right? What's going to set you apart from people coming out of state, where our surrounding states all have legalized marijuana, cannabis? So what specifically how are you going to combat that? How are you going to?
Well, just first of all, it's illegal to bring it across state lines. So just keep that in mind.
Well, okay, we know that, but okay.
Right. But what is going to set us apart? I mean, again, when we put our business model together, like if we were going to go to a bank and get funding for this and everything, we'd have to do a business model. We can self-fund this project. But again, it's those things, like I said, we buy in bulk. We will, there's thousands and thousands of marijuana products out there. No one store can carry all the products, right? We know, with our consultants, we know what people are buying. We know the products. There's some products out there that aren't that good, but the consumer doesn't know that. So what we can do is we can carry the safest, most innovative, the highest demand products, because we have that book of knowledge. We're not a startup. This is not, us saying, well, we own a few McDonald's franchises, so we think we can sell marijuana. We are, the team we've put together, I mean, they are the best, I would say, in the state, in the region. I mean, because they've been at this so long. I hope that answers it, your question. I know I kind of zigged when I should have zagged, but.
That's all right.
I can add to that if you want to see.
Well, I think we're getting 3 minutes.
Yeah, we're doing another round.
Yeah.
Jean?
Just under the eligibility section on the vision, go back. There you go, no. Leave it where it was in the beginning. Well, anyway, you've got length of employment, the housing. Length of employment, position and company, and then specific business needs, what is that? How does that come from?
So, okay, say that again.
Under the very last
Yeah.
line.
Very last
Yeah.
bullet.
Okay,
So I'm looking at the eligibility for the.
Jenish indicated that he had an employee in Massachusetts that went to New Hampshire to manage the company because they love, people who like this industry, they're passionate about it. They want to
Okay.
work in it. Okay, so say we have somebody who's a manager out in a store in Weston, Mass, and they say, hey, I want to be on the Cape. I hear you guys are opening a new store, because word gets around in the cannabis community. We'd like to interview with you, and we'd like to, I want to be a manager at your company. We know their management material. We need a good manager. So we say, okay, we'll tell you what. We'll get you set up here in an apartment, working with, this developer. We'll get you set up. We'll get you in the program, and after 6 months, we will make something available for you here. And it might be some, the relocation assistance, $5,000. If they need first, last, and security for an apartment, and it is $1,500 for each of those, $4,500 total, we'll say to them, hey, we believe in you so much, we're going to give you the $4,500 so you can get set up here. And in that way, from day one, when you're going through training and prior to us opening, we're still paying you, but you have a place here. So that will be sort of specific to our need and what they have to offer. And if they're a good, if we see them as a good employee with a lot of potential, we're going to do whatever we can to bring them here. I mean, I sell real estate for a living. I think you guys all know that. If we get a good employee, I'll find them a place. Trust me on that.
All right, thanks.
Do you have anything else?
Yes. When you walk into a casino, you see signs up saying gambling abuse, call this phone number. If you walk into a liquor store or even a retail store for cigarettes, they say cigarettes cause, may cause, lung cancer or other effects. There are addictive qualities to marijuana as well, but no one's ever talked about what are you going to do to help locally, education-wise, if you feel that someone's had too much marijuana, please call this number or something. I mean, it's just a way of, just trying to cure the abuse of the product. And I just want to see if you locally may be able to do something to help in that endeavor.
Well, we're going to, if we get the HCA, one of the first things we're going to do is start making our partnerships in the community. Mental health and addiction counseling is very important to me for probably reasons many of you know. But, so we will be working with assets, resources in the community to deal with things like mental health issues, because drug abuse, drug addiction, and mental health, a lot of times they go hand in hand, right? There's, one makes the other worse. There's like some sort of ugly synergistic effect there. So we will be diving deep into the community and partnering up with these groups that can address all those issues you're talking about. I don't use marijuana. My wife doesn't. My son doesn't. My daughter doesn't, right? But what I really like about marijuana is the therapeutic effects. The people who have trouble with anxiety, sleeping at night, the people who have joint and muscle pain. One gal called in the radio show I was on this summer, and she says, without marijuana, I don't know how I could get through my day. I wake up and I'm so anxious. So, we think, and you can disagree if you want, but we think we're doing a good thing here. We're bringing a safe product, as safe as it can be, just like a glass of wine or a cigarette. Well, no, I'm going to say a cigarette, but a beer, whatnot. So we think we're doing everything we can to bring a product, keep it out of the hands of kids, which was always a goal of mine. And you know what? Nobody talks about this anymore, but the price of marijuana is so cheap right now, drug dealers can't make money on it. And I'm glad that's the case. That was my goal 5 years ago when I met with these guys. Let put these guys out of business. And we're about that, because you can't sell black market marijuana for, at this point, less than we're selling it for.
So, I have a question about the floor plan, but I also want to be clear, Janish, if you can explain, like, what businesses you've been in and how you're going to spend time in Bourne. You've got your hand in a lot of things, and actually Jack's answering a lot of the questions, so.
Sure,
and
yep,
he's not an owner, but he's like the landlord, so I just want to understand who's who.
Sure, absolutely. And all the businesses, there's always managers, right? We have store managers, shift managers, floor managers, and I have a good team, right? And the team, without the team, I don't think I could be where I am right now. And I have a great infrastructure with an office and dedicated staff that will be helping me overlook all the businesses and all the locations. But what was your question on the floor
On the
plan?
security, so, one of the things yesterday that we had a discussion with about security, with
Yep.
the entrance and the exit being separate, having, and this is where your exit vestibule is. I'm not sure what this
Yes.
check-in thing is, because it looks like you come in, this is your
Yep.
entrance vest.
Yep.
And this is your. I
that's
don't know
where
what
the,
this is, but there
securities-
doesn't seem to be separate, like, is there a door here or
Yep,
so?
yep. So you walk in. I wish this had a.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do the pointer, but, yeah.
Oh, it does. Oh.
So I
Yeah.
think it
Perfect.
looks like
Oh.
there's a door here, so
Yep.
that there's a door, like, no handle kind
So,
of thing. That was one of the things they
all
talked
the
about.
all the customers are going to walk through here.
Yeah.
They check in with the security staff
Okay.
right there, show their ID or straight up.
Both sides.
They go in, follow the flow of customers,
Yeah,
POS, and then they go out through here. They walk down this corridor. This door should close. They cannot come back in, and then they go out here, and then this door will lead outside.
So and those doors don't have handles to
They do
open to
not
go
have
in that
handles.
area?
No one can come back in.
Thank you.
Where's your delivery door?
Deliveries will come from the back, right through here. They will go in, and in this room will be the intake room. They will spend less than an hour in that room, and then they will be shifted into the vault.
Okay, we have gone a little bit over our allotment for half hour and a half hour, so any other questions for this group? Okay, I got my little speech, which you've heard like 4 times now, but I'll say it anyway. So thank you very much for coming in. The board will be interviewing more applicants this afternoon. We did interviews yesterday. At the end of the day today, we will determine our next steps. And the administration will be contacting each of the applicants when the board has decided who we will be talking with for HCA agreements. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. You both.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So we have 15 minutes to
Scratch.
gather your thoughts and start your preliminary rating, and then
Is that, Steve, you gonna grab your thumb drive, or we keep it?
Okay, great.
Dennis grabbed that. That's how
Thanks.
he is.
That's the,
I
that's
mean, it
the,
wasn't there, you can put it, you move it over and take it
USB
out,
for the
right?
connector.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's good.